Hi, welcome back. I'm Julian at Just Inspired. This is a Denon DHT T100. It is a TV speaker base, and this has been dropped off by a nice customer called Stan, and he wants me to replace some capacitors in it for him. So these units have a known problem, and it's exactly what Stan has experienced with his unit, and that is that it's making a loud cracking noise and followed by several seconds of silence before the sound comes back on, and this is getting more frequent as it warms up. So Stan has already done all the legwork and found out what the problem is. Apparently this is a known issue, and there are several sites that have written about it. And what has happened is apparently the manufacturers, in their wisdom, have placed 6.3 volt capacitors in an area of the circuit board where there is over 9 volts. So these are running constantly over voltage and eventually start to break down, which is expected. There are 8 capacitors in total, so we have to get the old ones out and put new ones in. I've ordered ahead of time these 35 volt ones, which would be more than enough. These are good Japanese Murata brand from RS Components, so I know that they're not cheap rubbish. And let's get started. This unit has a crazy amount of screws holding it together, 40 in total, or 39 I think in total, across the bottom, and Stan was very kind to remove most of them, so I only had to remove 4. Again, just the kind of client you want. Thank you very much. So in the front we've got some speakers, and we've got some acoustic tubes here, power supply unit, and an audio board. Let's get that audio board out and see what we can do. There's a ribbon cable there. And some plugs with press catches on them. Oh, we've also got a swollen capacitor here. Oops. Oh no, we're going to have to replace that one. Right, so this, if I don't have that capacitor, it might take a bit longer because I'll have to get one. I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws. Let's get those out. I like to use magnets from old hard drives for holding my screws on. They're very powerful magnets and they're quite useful. Got some connectors on the back. Some sort of shroud over them. So I imagine I have to take out the screws on here as well. Let's get a different magnet for those screws. This thing is so big it's taking up my whole bench. I could have done this while the board was in there and not had to fight with it, but with that swollen capacitor there, you see that's bulging upwards. Yeah, there's no choice, I have to take the board out. Will you come out, please? So there's some seals around it to stop the air pressure. I do not want to damage that cable. How is it going through then? Come on, be nice. It's not flathead. It's got to come up this way. Right. There's some gaskets on here. Right, board is out. 1000 microfarads, 35 volt. You can see where it's starting to bulge upwards. Should be flat like these ones, but it is not flat. Well, here are the capacitors I have. What was it, 35? 35, 1000. Nope. 10 volts. 16 volt. That one's for a power supply, and that's 450 volt, 22 microfarads. That's not going to work. 16 volt. No. Oh man, I was hoping I would be able to fix it tonight, but I could do the other bits, I suppose. The other capacitor will have to wait. So, a very kind person, Adventures of a Tech, has made a blog post about this, and very helpfully included some pictures of where the capacitors are located that we need to change. So yeah, it's all like fell into my lap. There's almost nothing to do except just replace them. It's cool. Excellent. So we are looking for C126138, and they are right there. One 154. So that's 4. Then we have 171, which is 171,184. So it's sort of mirrored on that side, so it's sort of the same layout here is over here. So 171 and 184. Which one is there? And then we've got 199 and 210, which it's crazy that he managed to find this out, because I have no idea. I would never find that out. And by the way, I don't do audio repairs. This is just, can you replace some capacitors, because I can't solder, don't have the equipment, whatever. Yeah, I don't do this sort of thing normally. But there's a firmware version of that bad capacitor. I suppose I better keep that label. Let's see if we can get that stuff off of there. So what's the best way to get those off? Probably the tweezers, I would imagine. Get that off to start with. So you can see that is definitely starting to bulge. So let's get these capacitors off. Let's get some flux on there, because that's not going to play for otherwise. Lovely. If it's one thing about this reflux, is that it keeps on squeezing out long after you've stopped pressing on the plunger. So I end up with much more flux than I need. This one's a bit more awkward because we've got some capacitors in the way. This one doesn't want to give up. Right, there we go. I'll sort that out in a bit. And final ones. Try and angle myself so I don't touch that capacitor behind me. Nice. So this is the size of the capacitor. Just to give you an idea of what it's like. So here's a cotton bud for scale. And that's not even the smallest ones you can get. So let's clean those up. Now I know it's not going to be as easy to put them on. Never is. But at least we've made a start. It's almost midnight and I need to wrap up another computer job that I have to do, so I'm going to finish this when I get the other capacitor. So I have ordered the capacitors. I've got some Panasonic 35 volt capacitors coming. These are some decent ones which have low ESR and are used for audio equipment and stuff like that. So that's good. I could get them much cheaper at Amazon, but they're going to be garbage. And if it's one thing I have found out is don't buy cheap electronic components, especially capacitors, because it's just not worth it. It's false economy. They're just rubbish. You get hardly any that are the correct rating. They don't last very long. They're just literally garbage. So I'd rather spend the extra money. I mean, I didn't need all these capacitors. I don't need 10 capacitors, but I'll get them. So I shall wait for those to come in, and in the meantime, I shall put the little ceramic capacitors on, the little SMD capacitors. I'll put those on tomorrow morning, but it's late now, so it's bedtime.